In previous videos, I've shown a couple of different terminal file managers. So today I want to go over my favorite one, and that's VIFM. I like to use Vim to edit files. I use VI mode in the terminal. I even use the Vim Vixen extension so I can have Vim keys in Firefox. So it makes sense that I like VIFM. And like most terminal file managers, it uses the HJKL keys to navigate up and down, left and right, or in and out of directories. It uses GG to go to the top, capital G to go to the bottom, but VIFM also keeps with the Vim syntax, using a slash for searching, DD to delete files, YY to copy files or directories, switching panes with Control W and H, and Control W and L. But switching panes also can be done with the tab key. But anyway. And there's several other things that I'm not thinking about right now. And it's the closest thing that I have found to having a complete Vim-like experience in a terminal file manager. Now, other file managers like LF, NNN, and Ranger can be customized to mimic much of this functionality. And the closest I've gotten to my VIFM experience has been with LF. But that configuration is very, very, very bare out of the box. And if you want to put in the work and get LF where you want it to be, by all means do so. But it's my opinion that VIFM is a much better starting point. But this video is not about that today. I'm going to go over what I do to make VIFM look and feel and function the way I want it to. To me, it looks pretty slick. It's pretty fast. It looks pretty modern, if a terminal file manager can be modern. But at any rate, let's take a look at the default config, and I'll show you some of the customizations I make along the way. Okay, so in our terminal, we're going to just type VIFM. It's going to open up in your home directory, if you're in your home directory, but we can't see our dot files. The way to see our dot files, we type in ZA. And then we scroll up to .config. We hit L to go in. We can hit H to go out. We go to VIFM and the VIFMRC. And the first thing I set is my VICMD. I like to change that from Vim to NVim because I generally use Neovim as compared to Vim. Now, set syscalls, this actually makes VIFM perform operations on its own instead of using standard system utilities like CP, MV, and RM. It's just a little faster. Now, the trash directory, you always want to have the trash directory set because if you comment this out or remove this line or what have you, it's going to break a lot of the functionality of VIFM. Because when you DD a file and get rid of it, it goes to a trash directory by default in VIFM. If this is not set, it's just gone, and you can't paste it back. I always have the trash set, but I want to go a step farther than just having the trash set. I want to have one central location for the trash to go. So I'm going to go to the end of this line. And let's do set trash dir. Now I have that equal to, and this is going to be in double quotes, home/.local share VIFM trash. Now if we scroll on down, we'll see set history at 100. This is just how many directories it's going to keep in its history. Now set no follow links. If this were set to follow links, it would automatically resolve all the symbolic links when you press L or return. Now you can have set fast run. I do sometimes, I guess. I mean, I can go ahead and set it now. But what this does, it will try to run partially typed commands. So let's say you have a command on here where you got to hit colon and type in terminal to launch a terminal. If you just hit colon and type TER and hit enter without hitting tab to complete or anything, without having fast run turn on, it's gonna fault out. Whereas having fast run set, it's going to try to read that and say, oh, I bet this is terminal, and just run the terminal for you. Now, set sort numbers, it's a natural sort version within text and stuff. I mean, it's like a version thing. Set undo levels at 100. I generally leave this setting alone. 100 seems to be just fine for me. Now, set Vim help. You can have this set to no Vim help, but if you set it to no Vim help, all of your help files are going to be just plain text. There's going to be no highlighting, no links, no nothing. So I generally leave it set to Vim help. Now, set no run exec. This one, if you have set run exec and you hit enter on a file that's executable, it's going to run that executable. If you have set no run exec, it's just going to open that and let you edit it. Color scheme is default, and as you saw earlier when we launched VIFM, that color scheme is not great. So we can change that if we want. And if you want to get a list of the default color schemes, I'm just going to get out real quick. If you go back to the root directory and you go to user and then go to share and then go all the way down to VIFM and then go to colors, you see you have a few color schemes in here. There's Astral, there's Demilith, Reichsfield, and Zenburn. And honestly, none of those look great. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you where to go to get some better color schemes. And we need to get back into our config file. So let's do -C, and that opens up our config file. Now, if the set time format, that's just like a regular variable. However you want your time to be displayed. Right now, it's going to show the month, the day, and then hours and minutes. You can have it set year, month, day. You can have it month, day, year. Doesn't matter. Now, the wild menu. Wild menu is pretty cool. You can have it set to be a pop-up or a bar by this next setting here. But the wild menu, let's say if we quit out, and then we hit colon, and then let's say set, and then that's the wild menu. All this right here. And you see it's a pop-up, and you can actually go through, and I'm just hitting tab to move down the list. I just hit escape to get out, and I'll hit -C to get back in. Now, setting suggestions, there's normal, visual, view, other pane, keys, marks, and registers. Now, the suggestions and stuff, that's going to be, if we quit back out of here and we hit, let's say, C, we're going to get something in the other pane, suggestions for what we can hit next, whether it be capital W, C, G, L, O, P, W. Now, this set ignore case and set smart case is wonderful for me, especially when I'm going to search for something in VIFM, because set ignore case just means it's a case insensitive search. And then when you set smart case on top of all that, it still means that it's a case insensitive search unless there is a capital letter. Fantastic. Now we're getting to some more meat and potatoes of the settings here. The set no HL search or no highlight search. It does not highlight all of the matches automatically. Awesome. Love that. Set incremental search. I like this one even a little bit better than that. It will actually search as you type incrementally. Love it. Now, set scroll off equals 4. This, if you're going into a directory that's got just a ton of files in it, and you're scrolling through there, the page is going to start to scroll when the cursor gets 4 lines from the bottom or 4 lines from the top. I generally want it to start scrolling a little before then, so I actually changed this to 8. So now, when it's 8 lines from the bottom or 8 lines from the top, the page starts to scroll. Now, the status line, I generally left this alone while I was really new to VIFM because I like to have the hints. Every time you would log in, or every time you would launch, rather, VIFM, it would give you a hint, give you something cool it can do, a command or what have you, that it can do. And right now, what this does, it gives you the word hint, displays a hint or a command that you can run. It's going to give you the file attributes. It's going to give you the date, that kind of thing. Now you can customize this to your heart's content. You can even add colors, have background colors and foreground colors and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be in the same kind of syntax as your color schemes in VIFM. So anything that's in a .vifm file, that kind of syntax is going to be how you set that here. Set that in the file. And I'll show that here in a little bit when we go to launch into my config. Now, marks, bookmarks, B marks, quick marks, however you want to call them, they're all good. What I generally do, let's say mark B is going to take you to your home bin directory. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add .local/bin. And then mark H is going to be your home directory. Now I'm going to add a couple of more just to kind of show some stuff off here. I'm going to say mark D home/.local share ld.files. Why it did that, I don't know. And then mark, let's say P home/.local. Oh, sorry. Let's just go to the pictures directory. And now the next section are the different custom commands that you can set. And what this is, I imagine it like a template. So when you're going through this, you see you have a command and an exclamation point. The next is what the command is going to be named. So it's going to be df. And df is going to run df-h %m and then 2 into def null. So when you hit :df, it's going to pop up a menu window and it's going to send all the error messages to def null. So let's take a look at that real quick. If we hit :wq to write and quit that, and then reload, if we hit :df, and we're in standard, normal mode, and hit :df, we get the output of the df command with all the errors sent to def null, and it's in a little menu window. Now, to get out of this, :q, and you're back where you were. And let's go back to our file, :c. All right, now the next one is a diff, and this has been pretty great. I want to change this from Vim to NVim, but let's say I want to run a diff on my VIFMRC and the original VIFMRC, just to see all the changes. So let's do, :wq, and let's reload the config. All right, we're going to go into the config file, into VIFM. We're going to hit tab and go over here. Let's hit ZA, go up to config, VIFM. I'm going to go down to, let's say, LD VIFMRC, just because I named it that, because, well, that's my file. We're going to go down here and let's go to original RC. Now you see they're both highlighted right now. So since they're both highlighted or got the star in the inactive window, whatever, we can hit :diff. And that's going to pull up a diff for everything. And you can go through and see what's been changed, what's been added, all that kind of stuff. That's pretty cool. Of course, you're going to do this probably in a half, monitor width terminal or full monitor width, and you're going to be able to do a lot more with it. So essentially what this is 2 Neovim windows in a vertical split. And you can kind of go back and forth in between and move stuff around. Just do what you normally do in Neovim, but you're doing this in a diff. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit :q to get out of both, and that was the diff. So let's hit :c again and search for command exclamation point. So you can do this, and you can do the same kind of syntax for running a zip. You can do something for a make command. You can make a directory and cd into that directory all at once. Now let's make one of our own. I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to say Command exclamation point, and let's say I want to get a preview window to pop up, not necessarily in VIFM in the opposite pane, but let's say I want SXIV to launch in thumbnail mode when I'm looking at wallpapers or whatever, just something to make a command with. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say command exclamation point PV. Right after that, we're going to type SXIV-TR. And what that is thumbnail, and it's recursive. So it's going to work on directories, not so much on just files. And we're going to say %D for the directory that it's in, that we're in. And that's really about it. So if we hit :WQ and then reload, and then let's say I want to do, and I want to use one of my marks. So let's do single quote D, and let's go into local share backgrounds. All right, so now we got a few directories in here with wallpapers inside them. That's where the R is going to come into play. But we also have this current wallpaper.png. So I'm just going to type in :PV. And you can't see that right now. So let me change to the other view and let you see what popped up. And you see I have an SXIV window that popped up, and I can kind of go through and look at all the wallpapers. All right, cool. So :C. Then if we go on down the file, you'll see you have a bunch of file openers. And you can set these how you want. But generally what I do, all of the image files, I'll set the viewer to SXIV. I'll set the opener to GIMP, or I'll set the PDF viewer to Zathura. I'll set the MP3 files or WAV files or what have you to FF Play, MPlayer, something like that, usually MPlayer. Or I'll have all the video type files, I'll have that open with MPV. And what you do for that is you actually go up here to the first one of how it opens, view using FF Play. You can change that command here to, let's say, MPV. So I'm going to change this from FF Play to MPV. And I'm going to change this to MPV. And that's pretty much all you got to do. And you can do that for man page openers and viewers. You can do it for all kinds of images, anything to do with GPG. You can change anything and everything that you can think of. You can change it. Now, torrent files, let's say anything that's a .torrent. Right now, it's looking for KTorrent. I don't have KTorrent installed, so let's say I want to change that to transmission GTK. Then, as we come on down, there's a ton of these. There's a ton of those settings in there. So set VIFM info is where you actually set stuff that gets saved in between your VIFM sessions. So right here it says set VIFM info. There's D history, saved ers, C history, state, TUI, all that kind of good stuff. And you see it saves bookmarks. So we actually could have set those bookmarks that we typed out, in VIFM as we were using it, because it's going to save all that anyway. But for me, I like to hard code them in because I know for a fact they're going to be persistent. And sometimes I'll get to editing something and I'll take bookmarks out or B marks out or whatever, and all of a sudden it's not persistent anymore. So that kind of bit me one time, so I started hard coding them. Most of the time when I open up VIFM, I usually want it to open in the directory I'm in or in the home directory, not necessarily where I left off. So I'll take this saved ers option and I'll get rid of it. You can leave that if you want, but for me, I like to start in a certain spot. And plus I've got shortcuts for everything. Now, your sample mappings, let's say you wanted to set up some mappings or what have you. I'll show you how to do all that. Now, normal mode remaps or in no remap. Let's say you're in VIFM and you just hit the S key. It's going to open up a shell in that current directory. So if I hit :WQ and then just reload, we can do, let's say, S. And you see we're actually in local share ld.files.local share backgrounds. We can just exit right out of that. So if I hit comma C, so now we can have a sorting dialog here. So if you want to sort your files a certain way. So if we get out of this and then reload, and then let's say capital S, you can actually go through and sort those files by extension, by name, by type, by the directory, group ID, all kind of stuff. Honestly, that's really cool. Now, the EndNoRemap W will toggle the visibility of your preview window. Now, the preview window, a lot of that stuff was actually set up here that I just kind of glossed over. Now, a lot of your text files and stuff like that are going to be no problem to show. Some of your PDFs may not be quite right. You may have to install a package or two for that, like a PDF to text or docx to text or something like that, you know, for your Word documents and all that to show up in image previews for that. But you have a normal mode remap for W and a visual mode remap to toggle the preview window, which is going to be in the opposite pane from your active pane. Here it says open a file in the existing instance of GVim. I don't use GVim, so honestly I want to use O to do that with. So I'm just going to change that to NVim, and I'm just going to change that to NVim. So now I can just hit O on a file and it will open it in NVim. But also, let's say I want to open something as root. I'm going to use do as for this because I've already got it set up. And I have do as set up to not take a password from, if NVim is used. I know that's not real secure, but I'm the only person that uses this computer, and well, it is what it is. So I'm just going to go into visual mode here, and we're going to change this C, and we're going to do as NVim. Now, if you want to open up files in the background, you can do that with GB, and it's going to open up with its default opener. And like I said, a lot of that stuff that I kind of glossed over, that's where you get into the weeds and kind of get into the details of what opens what. And then if you want it to interact with your system clipboard, if you don't want it to use Xclip, you can change that here. Or if you don't want to use Excel, you can change that there. And here, you can have mappings for faster renaming. So let's say CW is just not fast enough for you. You can hit capital I, and it will automatically have the cursor at the beginning of the line. So much like in Vim or Neovim, if you're scrolling through a document, much like we are right now, and then let's say we hit capital I, that puts us in insert mode at the beginning of the line. And much the same if we hit capital A, insert mode at the end of the line. It does the same exact thing in VIFM. But if you hit CW in VIFM, it's going to put you at the end of the line, much like capital A would. But a lot of the stuff that I'm renaming will have those file extensions that I don't want to change. So to get around that, you can do C capital W, and it will just do the rename without the extension. But I never think about that, doing C Shift W to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch those right now. So I'm going to do EndNoRemap CW to C capital W. And then I'm going to change C capital W to CW. Now, EndNoRemap, comma T will open up an Xterm. I don't really use Xterm that much, so I'm going to change that to ST. You can change it to whatever terminal you want. I generally use ST, so that's what I'm going to use. You can change it to Kitty, you can change it to Alacrity, whatever you want to. I generally use ST, so that's what I'm going to use. Now, comma C, this is what you've been seeing me actually go in and out of VIFM in the config with. So, comma C will actually run this command, :write, and then pipe that through edit my VIFMRC, and then pipe that through restart and run carried return. Fairly simple, but super duper useful. You can toggle your wrap settings with comma W, and you can edit your function keys with these right here. And we should be getting down toward the end of the file right here. Now, since we've done all this, I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the stuff that I put into mine and stuff that wasn't really mentioned in this config. So we're going to look at, setting a couple of more commands. We're going to look at setting a few more key bindings. We're going to actually set up some tabs. Let's go back up here to where we were, and let's look for mappings. I'm just going to go down here to the end where all that was, and let's say show my dot files with the period instead of ZA. So let's do end no remap dot and then ZA, and that's all it takes. In VIFM, there is a way to go through and select files with the T key. I can never remember the T key. I always want to hit the space bar. You've seen me do it a few times here, because space bar will actually change your panes as well. I want the space bar to be my selector. So I'm going to hit C once more, and let's go into mappings again, and let's do end no remap space to T. And what that's going to do, we're going to reload that, and let's say I want to select that, and you see they have changed colors and they are selected. If I want to unselect it, I hit space bar again, and I can do a bulk rename or any of that kind of thing. Now, we also have tabs in this file manager as well, so I'm going to set a normal mode remap for spawning new tabs, getting rid of tabs, moving between tabs, that kind of thing. So I want to move between tabs with J and K because that's what I'm used to. So let's say we're going to spawn a new tab. We're going to say end no remap. We're going to say space T. And we're going to run a command or a VIFM command. So it's going to have a colon. We're going to call that tab new and then run carriage return. I've just copied that. We're going to change that to J. And we're going to change tab new to tab previous. Now we're going to change this to K. And since J was tab previous, K is going to be tab next. And this one, I want to be able to close the tabs. And since I have been Spectre WM'd and mod X is what I use to close windows, I'm going to close tabs with X. So space X. It's going to be tab close. Now to show that off, let's write and quit and then reload. And let's go home on both of these. All right. And you see I am toggling with the period key. I'm switching back and forth between there. So now let's create a new tab. So let's do space T. And you see we have a tab 1 and a tab 2 up here. And you see that it actually spawned a tab line up here. So if we hit tab to go to the next pane and hit space T, see we have 3 tabs. And if I wanted to move between those tabs, space J, space K, and space X. That is super useful. Now, another thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to set the wallpaper from inside here. So I'm going to hit C again, and then we're going to do another search for mappings and scroll down here to where we were. And I want to go end no remap BG, and I want it to run a shell command. So I'm going to give it the exclamation point. We're going to run X wallpaper -- zoom on the current file and then run carriage return. All right, so let's try that out. So if we go, let's say we go into .local, share backgrounds, let's go into Groovebox, and right here, let's say we want the rails. All right, we've got it highlighted. Let's do BG. You know what? You didn't see that. So I'm going to transition over back to my other page, and we're going to go pick another one. So let's say Groovebox Forest, BG. Come down here to the satellite, BG. Come down here to town, BG. Go back up to, let's say, Dev1, BG. Forest 3, BG. Kind of nice, right? So let me switch back to the other view, and let's take a look at the VIFM Colors, because we're going to go to a website real quick and see where to get more of these color schemes from. All right, so in our web browser, if you go to vifm.info/colorschemes.shtml, this is the VIFM website. So it's going to have your home, it's going to have documentation, the manual, the cheat sheet, downloads, color schemes, gallery, all kinds of fun stuff. But here is where I wanted to show a lot of the color schemes. So of course you're going to have your defaults like ANSA and Astral. You're going to have Desert, Dark Desert, Dracula, Fargo, which looks kind of funky. G80, which has been a Vim color scheme forever. You've got Groovebox, you've got Iceberg, you've got MC-like, which is going to be like a Midnight Commander type thing, and Molokai, which has been a Vim color scheme forever. You got a Nord, you got a One Dark, a Pale Night, a Paper Color Dark, Paper Color Light, Solarized Dark, Zenburn, Snow White. There's a ton of them. And I've even customized some of these a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change the color scheme in my VIFM to match what I've got. So if I go back into my VIFM and I just type in color scheme, you see I've got a ton of them here. And let's say I wanted to go to Groovebox. And then I go home. And you see it's looking a lot better now. All right, so now we've changed the color scheme and gotten something that we like a lot better. But we haven't changed any kind of ownership or any kind of attributes of any kind of files. So let's do that now. So let's go to, let's say .local bin, and let's say my baraction.sh. Let's say I forgot to make it executable. So I can do this the bash way, which would be colon, and then say chmod plus X. And you see that it's executable. You can do this in several different ways. I'm going to show you a few right here. So let's say we do colon and then change. We can change the name, we can change the owner, we can change the group or the permissions. You can scroll with the arrow keys or the Vim keys, or you can, let's say, just hit N for name, O for owner, G for group, P for permissions. So let's change the permissions of it. And let's say I want to get rid of execute. And then we'll hit enter. And see it's no longer executable. But let's say you wanted to change it back. I'm going to change it another way now. So let's do CP. All right, and it's back executable. So that's 3 different ways that you can change the permissions or attributes or whatever of a file. So if you want to change the owner, you can do CO and just type in the new owner. Or let's say you want to change the link of something. So let's say whatever's a link right here. Let's say if you did CL, you can change the link target. So let's say you had a different build of ST or something like that. You were wanting to build from scratch or something like that. You have a link to your ST right there. You can actually change what that link points to from here. Good stuff. And another thing that I thought was really cool about this VIFM setup is the fact that these 2 panes are treated like a split. So when I started moving back and forth between splits, I was just using the tab key. But you could do Control W and then H, or Control W and L, or whatever. And then I got to thinking, maybe you can actually change the layout now, since that essentially is a split. So let's do colon split. I think that's awesome. You can actually change the orientation of that. I thought that was really cool. So let's do :vsplit. And we're back to normal. Now, I'm going to change this out, and we're going to go straight back to my VIFMRC, and I'm going to show you a couple of more things from there that I forgot to include in the other one. So if we go back to home and then go back to config and then VIFM, I'm just going to delete the VIFMRC, and we're going to hit CW here. We're going to rename this VIFMRC. Reload, and there we are. Now this is my VIFMRC. You see, I always have a tab line up here because I have that set in the config. It didn't really mention it in the default configs. I saw that digging through the man page. And down here in the status line, you see I have the file name, I have the owner, I have the size, and the read-write attributes down here. And they're all different colors. So let's go into this VIFMRC and let's look for status line. So right here you see highlight user 1, cterm BG equals yellow, cterm FG equals black. So what that is in the down here in the %1 section right here, you're going to have a yellow background and a black font. Cterm F and user 2, you're going to have none, and you're going to have a blue font, and it's going to be bold. And you see how I'm going about this now. So %1 is user 1, %2 is user 2, and then you got %5, which is user 5, then %3, and %4. So all of that is just the different colors in the status line. And if it were wider, you would actually see a little bit more of it. But you know, it's kind of cut off right now because I'm recording. And you see I have more marks and you know, all kind of good stuff. So I'm going to right and quit that. And you see all that changes with all that. And you see I got rid of the file sizes that was over here and the file types and all that, or whatever that was over here, because that's all down here now. So I have the size right here. So if you did want to customize some of your colors for VIFM, let's say you downloaded, let's say the dark desert or what have you, and you wanted to change the background color of it. The way you would go about that is you would make a colors directory, and then you would put, let's say, darkdesert.vifm inside that. And then let's say you opened it up and holy crap, what's all this stuff? What this is just attributes for each aspect of that window. So the window is going to have cterm equals none, the font's 220, and the background is 223. The directories are going to be bold, the font's going to be 77, and it's going to have a default background. And a lot of this stuff is just default. And if you're wondering what these numbers mean, those are assigned to certain colors. And if you check the man page, you're going to see a long listing of all these numbers and what colors they actually are. But if you don't want to do that, I've actually got a file in my VIFM config directory that's got a listing of all that too. So VIFM color codes, this actually has, so this would be the color code that you would put into the file, and this is what the hex value of that color is. This took a really, really long time to do. Anything higher than like 255, they start flashing. So I only went to 255. So if you'd like to take a look at this, it's going to be in my dot files. And honestly, those same numbers work in SFM as well. So if you're looking at the suckless file manager, those same kind of colors will work there too. So that's about all I've got for today. I just wanted to kind of show off my VIFM config and kind of explain what some of the stuff meant inside the config that might have been confusing to the new people. And VIFM is a wonderful file manager, and it's got a ton of features. It's well implemented. It's quick. I don't have much bad to say about it, and highly recommend giving it a try. So with all that said, thank you for watching. Y'all have a good evening. Like, share, and subscribe. Catch you in the next one.